Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My Karen girlfriend refuses to pay her share of the rent. After that, am I the jerk for wanting to wear high heels at my wedding? And after that, husband demands to have a living room security camera. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen has to pay her share of the rent. Or I could just leave you and file for alimony. How about that, Reddit boy? So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My Karen girlfriend refuses to pay her share of the rent. My girlfriend and I have been dating for a year and we want to move in together. We want a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment or a townhouse near my work. I'm a second-year pathology resident and my residency is 5 years long. She works from home and wants an office. She also makes $120,000 a year, and I only make $68,000 a year. So our rent is $1,800 a month plus utilities, and she wants to go half on both rent and utilities, so we would both pay roughly $1,000 a month. Because she's using one of the rooms as her office, I feel like she should pay more, so I should pay $700 and she should be paying $1,300. She thinks even if she is using the extra room, because living near the hospital is very expensive, I should pay half, because we could get a cheaper place if I don't live near work. She thinks it's because we're paying more to live near my work, so I don't have to pay for gas. I should pay half for rent. I find she's being selfish because she makes much more than me, and once I complete my residency, I can easily make $350,000 a year or more. But according to her, it's not fair for her to have to wait 3 years to potentially get paid back, because we could break up and she would have subsidized me. To me, if she isn't willing to pay a bit more to put some skin in the game, she's being a gold digger and waiting for me to make bank without giving anything in the first place. We argued about this a few times, and I just want to know if I'm crazy in my thinking or if she's the one being selfish. You're the jerk. You're not married. You should be splitting rent 50-50. Also, in this situation, you're the gold digger. You're the jerk. And she's absolutely right that it's unfair to wait 3 years to potentially get paid back, because you're not guaranteed that salary. Also, calling her a gold digger while also wanting her to pay more? She's asking you to pay half while she pays half. The only one asking someone to pay more than half is you. Who's the gold digger? You're the jerk. She makes nearly twice what you make now, but she's a gold digger? You're the jerk, purely because you think that she's a gold digger. You're living near the hospital for your needs, and okay, she's work from home, but it's not like she's choosing to live in her ideal neighborhood in a McMansion. You're making assumptions when she's trying to make a clear-cut equal partnership while you'll carry forward. Because you played this game, you'll lose in the long run, because that 70-30 split in her favor looks real different when you make 3 times what you do now. You're the jerk. Oh look, another lazy guy trying to get his girlfriend to pay more than him for their rent. What a surprise. If there's one thing I've learned on Reddit, it's that I will never try to date any of these dudes nowadays. Sure, I will meet guys on dating apps just to have a little fun every now and then, but when it comes to actually giving them a chance at a real relationship, no thanks. As soon as guys start talking about having a relationship with me, I straight up ghost them. My fur babies are all I need for a happy life. Loser guys, no thank you. Not the jerk. I'll get downvoted to heck for this, but once again, this is the double standard we see here on Reddit. If the roles were flipped and you were the one who made 3 times her salary, and you were the one who would be using the second bedroom as an office, all these commenters would be saying, of course you should be paying more than her in rent. But because you're a dude, everyone here just wants to crap all over you. And they wonder why so many of us are losing our minds. Then when we do speak up about how we're treated, they only mock us even more for speaking up about it and call us names. I hope one day things can change, but honestly, I don't have much hope anymore. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his girlfriend? Please let us know. The funny thing is, we've read stories very similar to this one, and the commenters said the opposite, but of course the roles were flipped. Maybe that last commenter was onto something. Am I the jerk for wanting to wear high heels at my wedding? My fiance, 31, is short. His height has always been a source of insecurity for him, and he takes others' comments too seriously. With our wedding approaching, he asked if I'd consider wearing flat shoes at the wedding. I was confused, like very confused. I asked if he was joking, but he went on a rant about how he doesn't want to be made fun of at his own wedding, and that if I choose to wear high heels, then we will look awkward in the photos and in front of the guests. I refused, and he kept calling me selfish and inconsiderate, and said that I prioritized a pair of high heels over his comfort and happiness for the big day. He got his mom involved, and she's pushing me to reconsider. When I refused to discuss it, she said that my unwillingness to cooperate is a huge indicator of my level of maturity. She then went on a long rant about what lengths real wives are willing to go to help out their husbands, and said that I'm apparently too immature and shallow to be committed in a marriage if I make such an issue out of it. Am I being selfish? It's not just about what I want, but my high heels help make the wedding dress look better, and I feel like I deserve to look my best at my own wedding, just like every bride's dream. His insecurity is preventing me from getting that. Am I the jerk? To clarify, I'm slightly taller, but he said he doesn't want me to look any taller than that. Answering some questions. 1. The guests he was talking about are his male friends and the men in his family. They comment on his height all the time, call him names from Shorty, Koala, Lil D, Hobbit, and the list is long. They even have a list of jokes about him. 2. Like I said, I'm slightly taller, and he doesn't want me to be any taller. 3. We had similar arguments about this height issue before, but this is the first time he asks me to not wear heels. Other times he lets me wear them, but sometimes refuses to attend events with me. 4. I'm 27 for those who are asking about my age. What real wives are willing to do? Like a real man who gets his mama to fight his battles for him? Yeah, shows great maturity. Not the jerk, but it's a red flag for him to bring his mom into his arguments. 2 against 1 isn't a good look. He can buy some inserts for his shoes to make him look taller. Not the jerk. It's not about the shoes, but your fiancé turned this into something major by calling his mom to fight his battle. He involved mommy to keep insulting you and spewing garbage about real wives, etc. Question. Is this really the life you want to live? Does he stand behind what she says? Is this the first time he's reacting like that, or is it a common thing? Is he aware that there are shoes with heels for men? Robert Downey Jr. wears them for filming, and he's a legend. Furthermore, if your significant other involves mommy over such a minor thing, he will do it again. Just imagine you will have kids one day. My best friend's boyfriend is smaller than she is. No one gives a hoot, especially not the couple. They're still a beautiful pair. Also, wedding photographers are professionals. They know how to make a couple look good. Not the jerk. You should be able to wear the shoes you want to your wedding. Red flag on your future husband's insecurity, as well as his instinct to involve his mother. Not the jerk. Why are men so insecure about everything? Like, dude, you're short. Just get over it. He should just be thankful he was even able to get you, because I know I sure would never even date a guy shorter than me. I'm 5'4", but I only date guys who are at least 6 feet tall. Honestly, sis, I'd say to leave this sorry little excuse for a man. You deserve so much better, and I hope you don't waste another day of your life with this little creep. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her fiancé? Please let us know. Most of us have some sort of insecurity, and as a loving partner, sometimes we should make sacrifices so that our partner can be happy and comfortable. But I guess the popular thing to do here is to bash on this guy. That's Reddit for you. Husband demands to have a living room security camera. About 4 years ago, when my husband of 10 plus years and I bought our house, we got a security system. Included in the bundle was an indoor-only camera. While I liked the idea of having it monitor for movement when we weren't home or sleeping, my husband wanted it on all the time, even while we were home. This made me somewhat uncomfortable, but I came around to the idea. We'd use it almost like a baby monitor to check on our 3- and 6-year-olds when we were in the bathroom and heard crying or whatever. Our 3-year-old was nonverbal at the time, and sometimes his older brother would craft up some crazy story as to how he got hurt. We'd occasionally use the camera to figure out what time we put the pizza in the oven if we forgot to start a timer, or to figure out who stole the cookies from the cookie jar. Anyways, fast forward to a couple months ago. One day I'm chilling at home by myself while the kiddos were at school, and I just kind of realized it's weird to have a camera recording me chilling and watching shows, so I turned it off. I've mentioned multiple times that I don't think we need the cameras on, but in retrospect, I should have had a conversation with him before turning it off. This made my husband upset. Now if I turn it off, he turns it back on. We've had multiple conversations about it. I feel like the kids are old enough now that we don't need to monitor them like this anymore, and using a camera to prove or disprove their honesty is not the best parenting. But he wants the camera on 24/7, even if we both are right there watching the kids. But I feel like that argument is an uphill battle, so I simply don't want the camera recording me when I'm home alone or when it's just me and our kids. He claims that me not wanting the camera on is not respecting him as head of the household, and he will repeatedly turn it on anytime I turn it off. If he's at home, then notices that it's off, He turns it back on right away. If he's at work, he'll turn it on in a few hours. No, it doesn't notify him that it was turned off. I feel like it's weird and controlling, but I don't have any other good reason for not wanting it on. He wants to still use it to monitor the kids and to use it to figure out what time something happened. Sometimes he'll use it for things like helping the kids figure out where they put their book when they got home or something. We live in a pretty safe area and have a doorbell camera too, so I don't think home invasion while we're home is his concern. He's not mentioned that as a reason. His opposition to me turning it off when I'm at home alone is that I don't turn it back on, so there's no footage if we need to look back. Am I the jerk? Should I let this go? Not the jerk. And you should probably be paying more attention to the massive red flag that is the head of the household. Those are the words of someone that doesn't value you as an equal partner in your marriage. Not sure what your work situation is, but the non-paid domestic work of women needs to be recognized and regarded equally with the financial contributions made. He's disrespectful to you for calling him the head of the household. He's being gross and controlling. I don't see any reason why you can't still use it to check on the kids, but that's for when you aren't around. Not for just watching shows and already supervising the kids. Not the jerk. He's the head of the household? In all seriousness, do you have a relationship dynamic where you obey him? The idea of a camera recording you and your kids seems invasive. His response was uncalled for. Can he see the live feed from his work? Not the jerk. Not the jerk, but head of the household? What century is this? You're the jerk, and so is everyone else here flipping out about the head of the household. This just shows how lost most of you are. When a family does not have a strong head of the household, there's no guidance or structure. The kids end up, like most of you here, dyeing your hair weird colors, having all kinds of mental disorders, and living in a constant state of victimhood, blaming everyone else for all of your problems. Growing up, my father was the head of the household. He led our family the way the father is supposed to, and my mother stayed home and raised us. We always had everything we needed and were taught strong values. My siblings and I are now adults with our own families. None of us ever had any depression, anxiety, or any of the other issues you people constantly complain about. We were taught to be accountable for our actions and to not expect handouts from anyone. To this day, my parents are happily married, both retired, and we all get together for family events often. This was all possible thanks to our head of the household. The fact that so many of you here think that the father is not supposed to lead his family is a huge part of why you're all so messed up. The father is there to lead and protect, and the mother is there to nurture. This is a simple fact of life that unfortunately most of you are unable to understand. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her husband? Please let us know. I always thought head of the household was a pretty common idea. I guess I'm really not caught up with the times. Steal someone's identity? Get kicked out of your home. Currently, I'm a realtor in the state of California. A client of mine, was interested in purchasing a property. Before searching for a property, he wanted to pre-qualify for a loan and get an idea of his affordable price range. He, the client, visited a loan guy where they got his information and ran his credit. Unbeknownst to him, the client, the amount of pre-qualification was much lower than expected. Confused, he went over his credit report. According to his report, he had recently purchased a home. My client never purchased a home, nor knows anything about the property listed. Apparently, someone stole his information and bought a home under his name. My client was livid. He didn't know what to do. At first, he wanted to go to the property and throw the guy out personally. After advising him not to, he was thinking of what moves to make next. Reading further down the report, my client still had a good score and there were no late payments. It seems whoever is living on that property are not behind on any loan payments. The tenant, person living on the property, was living in the house for approximately a year. Out of curiosity, I ran comps on the property. The house had over $100,000 in equity. What? How can this be? Then an idea dawned on my client. Since the house is technically his, he decided to kick that guy out, take possession of the home, and sell it for a profit. Doing so would take a lengthy eviction process through the court system. On average, it takes around 3 to 6 months. It's a gamble. Sometimes people trash a house before being evicted. He decided to take the risk. The next day, we started the eviction process. While going through the process, the tenant ignored all eviction notices, court dates, nor did they move out. Eventually, the date of eviction was ordered by the court. On the day of eviction, my client showed up with members of the sheriff's department to help with the eviction. Not everyone wants to give up the place they reside in. The tenant tried to ignore the sheriff officers. The officers forced entry into the residence and found the tenant hiding. He tried to argue to the sheriff's deputy to no avail, yelling and screaming what they were doing was wrong. The tenant tried to say he owned the property but could not provide any proof. If he were to furnish any fake identity or information, there would have been much bigger problems since the real owner was standing right outside. The tenant was really upset but forced to move out immediately. Nothing he could do. Revenge for stealing my client's identity. Shortly after, we listed the home and he made a sweet $100,000, minus fees, taxes, and other expenses. My client never reported the guy for stealing his identity since he made out better with the ordeal. The house was still in pretty good condition. I really don't think the tenant knew he would actually be forcefully removed from this premises or knew what was coming. My client did lock down his personal information to help prevent any future problems. Thankfully, this ordeal didn't impact his credit report. In my experience, when we find out someone's credit or information was stolen, it's usually to the detriment of the client. First time it came out on the positive side. Stealing someone's identity and then using that ID to buy a house? That's a special kind of stupid. You open some credit cards and never pay them back or take out a loan and run off with the money. You don't set up roots in the proof of your crime. Only engineers are allowed on the roof. This was just the other day. A younger guy, probably early 20s, comes up to the desk and asks who he should talk to about using a hotel balcony to do some art. I inform him that he's currently welcome to rent a balcony room in the future, but that we're currently at 100% occupancy for the next several days. Multiple conferences and large groups checking in consecutively. Thanks, sales department. So unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to use any of those balconies anytime soon. He's not getting it. It would only be for like a few hours, he says. Could I use a room that's already checked out? I'm sorry. Due to our occupancy, the housekeeping department needs to be able to turn any dirty rooms as quickly as possible, and we certainly can't have folks in the rooms while they do that. My tone is pleasant, but matter-of-fact in a way that usually makes it clear that a given subject is a non-starter. But this dude still persists. Could I maybe use the roof? I had to take a moment, because that's the first time in my 15 years in hospitality that a guest has, or in this case, non-guest, has asked for access to the roof in any property I've worked. No. For liability and security reasons, only engineers are allowed to access the roof. The pleasantness of my voice has faded away. While I'm still being polite, I'm going into the real talk mode you use for jerks. Really? He asks. Yes, sir, really. He waits too many moments longer, maintaining eye contact, with that expression that says he's waiting for me to give way or suggest something else. I begin to wonder if this kid has ever been told no in his life. I don't respond. I don't cave or sputter or apologize or suggest. I just lock eyes with him. I won't entertain this jerk any longer, especially if he doesn't even have a room. Okay, he says with a slightly flippant tone. Thanks, I guess. But he doesn't start walking or even turn away. He just stands there like a statue, if a statue could look like an idiot. My pleasure. Have a great day, I chime. I go quickly back to reading emails on my computer, completely turning my attention from him. This is how you end an annoying interaction decisively. He gormlessly hangs around for a few more seconds. I can feel his jerk stare at the top of my head as I keep smiling to myself, looking down at the computer screen. Then he shuffles away. Rid of this time waster at last, I go back to Reddit. Won't work, thinking nothing more of it. Until about 20 minutes later, when I see a trio of engineers jog past the desk with some urgency. Yo, what's up? I call out to the last one. Oh, some weirdo got up on the roof, replies the engineer. Could you call the police? Long story short, this little jerk scaled the side of our 4-story hotel by climbing the fancy extruded flagstone on the side of the building. I'd always thought those looked purposely built for climbing, but I'd never have guessed that anyone would actually be stupid enough to try it. Silly me, I guess. I called the cops, told them that an unknown person with a backpack was on our roof, and I didn't know what he could be doing up there. I let their imaginations do the rest of the work, and within 15 minutes, 5 squad cars and a SWAT van were in front of the hotel. A team of 7 or 8 dudes in full tactical gear power walked through the lobby with purpose, led by engineers, towards one of the fire stairs on the side of the building. I wish I could tell you that the guy got tased or tackled or something awesome like that, but I never got to see anything other than him being led in handcuffs to a squad car through the lobby window before the desk phone rang and I had to return to stupid work. So, congrats, artist guy. You turned a no into an arrest. Am I the jerk for not letting my kid's sister call me dad? I have split custody for my 2 sons, Diego, who's 12, and Sasha, who's 10, with my ex, Josie. About a year after we split up, Josie got pregnant with Eva from a one-night thing. That guy never stepped up. He's pretty broke, so doesn't pay child support, and would stop by every now and then when Eva was young, but hasn't been there since she was 4 or 5. I'm pretty good friends with Josie, and will invite her and all 3 kids over sometimes when I have cookouts and stuff like that. Through the years, I've watched Eva for Josie as a favor here and there. They go to the same school, so sometimes I'll pick all 3 of them up and drop them off at Josie's on her weeks when she's busy, but I have some time. I don't play a fatherly role though, and don't really want to. The other day when I picked them up from school, Josie asked me if I wanted to stay for dinner. We had a nice meal and hung around a while when I go to leave, and Diego and Sasha hug me goodbye and say, "Bye, Dad." Eva also gave me a hug and called me that as well. I figured it was a mix-up and go, "What was that, Eva?" She goes, "Oh, sorry, meant to ask if I could call you that now." I told her I'd rather her call me my name. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't want that responsibility on me. She seemed sad, and I thought that was that. But then Josie told me I'm being a real jerk, saying it's not like she's asking for child support for her, but I should still let her call me that and be flattered. I don't really like it though, and I'm afraid of future expectations if she gets used to it. Am I the jerk for that? I want to be clear that the only part I said was, "I'd rather you just call me my name." "I'm not comfortable with that, I don't want that responsibility on me," was actually me explaining myself here. I didn't say that out loud to her. I don't personally want to be Uncle or some other nickname. I feel most comfortable going by my name. I have siblings with kids who call me Theo, and I like that just being their thing. That's not your kid. You're doing enough to include her with your kids periodically. Letting her call you Dad just sets her up for heartache down the road. It was good to set that boundary now. Josie also needs to talk to her. Get her some therapy to deal with an absent father. You are in no way responsible for filling that void. Not the jerk. OP. Yeah, it's a boundary I don't think I'd want to relent. I pride myself on how hard I work for my kids. Been working on college funds for both of them to be the first ones in our family to go to university. And I feel like if I set that dad expectation, I'll have to share with Eva. And I know it may sound greedy, but I want all my hard work to go towards my kids. Eva's a nice kid, but it just isn't like that for me. Not the jerk. You're setting boundaries now so she doesn't get even more hurt. Also, Josie is at fault here. Her daughter is lonely. It's gotta be tough seeing your siblings with their dad and your biological father didn't stick around. This does affect kids. They feel unwanted. However, it's not your place to fill the void. Sometimes you can get to that point and love a kid like they are your own. However, it doesn't always happen. You know what you're capable of. Lesson for adults. Your decisions affect your kids. This poor girl is now suffering. It's not your place to fix it. Can I say yes and no? The kid has literally zero father figure in their life. She sees how well you treat her and your biological kids. Your responsibilities don't change because of the love and admiration she has for you. It's a tough balance, I get it, but that kid will remember that. She needs a positive male influence. Not the jerk. Light, everyone sucks here, except Eva. You need to tell Josie to talk to her daughter and get her to understand you are in no way her father and you won't be. Not because you don't care about her, but because you simply aren't her dad. If Josie has an issue with that, then, unfortunately, it may be time to cut back a little on including Josie and Eva. Or that could be an extreme leap, open to ideas. You could also have let her know that you didn't want her to call you dad in a much nicer and more appropriate way. You have to remember she's 8 and cannot quite yet completely comprehend that you don't have the same relationship as your biological kids do. Just because your fully developed brain understands it's much more complex than just a fatherly name, hers doesn't, and she doesn't need to be told the deeper reasons why. It would make her feel even more like she's unwanted and a burden. You should talk to her one-on-one yourself and listen to what she feels and thinks, and then validate all of those things while setting the boundary and giving her time to adjust to it. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his ex? Please let us know. Something tells me your ex is not going to stop trying to push this idea onto you. Godspeed, lad. Godspeed. Ultimate malicious compliance at work. 3-for-1 special. Back at the beginning of 2021, I worked at a small community health nonprofit with an insane CEO. She would constantly call team meetings to put down and belittle employees in front of the entire staff. Often, she would throw around some variation of, "Do I have to do everything around here?" and call everyone on staff incompetent. When we did do something right, she never gave us credit and always took the credit for herself. She threatened firing everyone constantly and would randomly call us to gossip and make petty remarks about each other, putting staff against each other. One day, the CEO called a team meeting. In a group text chat between some of the more chill employees, we immediately begin sending snake and eye roll emojis. Sure enough, we get on the call and she begins by bringing to our attention how Luis does not dress appropriately for work. Luis, who is also upper management, the COO, looks about ready to smack the CEO. The CEO viciously tears into Luis, commenting on everything from her hairstyle to her lipstick shade to how it's inappropriate for Luis to wear off-the-shoulder blouses that show her collarbone. She then tells everyone that we all had better start dressing more formally or there would be consequences. The next day, the CEO calls another meeting. We all join and Luis turns on her camera. I immediately had to turn off mine because I didn't want to be caught laughing. Luis was dressed from head to toe in what looked like something someone would wear to a prom. Her hair was immaculately styled into an elaborate updo. Her makeup was professionally done with lash extensions and everything. She was dripping with what I assume were fake diamonds, tiara, earrings, necklace, bracelets, and rings. And she wore the most ridiculous navy blue satin gown with a faux fur shoulder shrug to cover her collarbone. My best guess is that it was an old bridesmaid dress, but she never did say where she got it. The CEO was immediately fuming. "Why are you dressed like that?" she screeched. "You told us to dress more formally. This is formal wear. Is something wrong?" "That's not professional for work." "Oh, I'm sorry. I must have been confused. You said we needed to dress formally, but I think what you meant to say was professionally." The CEO was livid, but Luis continued to rock the prom outfit all day, meeting with patients and clients and everything. Later that week, Tina texts our group chat and says the CEO is requiring her to submit a detailed timesheet with what she was doing and working on down to the minute for her entire day. She was going to BCC us on the email. Sure enough, it pops into our inboxes a few minutes later. Tina had literally detailed her entire past 24-hour day down to the minute. 6:45 a.m., awoken by husband's flatulence. 7 a.m., went to the bathroom. 7:12, turned on the shower. 7:13, tested water temperature with hand. You get the idea. Apparently, the CEO called her on her cell phone and berated her for sending such a detailed timesheet. Tina reminded her that she had requested her entire day down to the minute and didn't specify she meant her workday only. Finally, my turn. My job was in IT, and most of my work was as a database administrator, but I often helped with other tech problems. One morning, the CEO called me repeatedly at 2 a.m. My phone settings have it so that if I miss 5 calls in a row from the same person, the Do Not Disturb mode is turned off and the phone rings. I see who it is, silence my phone, and refuse to answer. At 6 a.m., she calls again. Again, I refuse to answer. 7 a.m., refuse to answer. 8 a.m., refuse to answer. Finally, at 9 a.m., I call her back. She asks to hop on a video call. "I've been trying to get a hold of you all morning. Where have you been?" "Can I help you with something?" I asked, not even trying to hide my irritation. I literally rubbed my temples and slurped on my coffee loudly. "You didn't answer my question." "And I'm not going to. I was off the clock at the time you called." "You're salaried, right? That means it doesn't matter if you work 100 hours or 1 hour. You get paid the same. So I expect you to be available when I need you." "What do you need?" "I need you to reset all of our company usernames and passwords. We're letting someone go today, and it's company policy to change all of that." At the same time, Louise texts me saying she's being let go. So I read the company handbook and make a copy of the page that says the IT person must update the usernames and passwords and give the information to the COO. I changed all of the usernames and passwords to everything, from social media accounts to bank accounts to QuickBooks and emails. I send the usernames and passwords in an encrypted email to Luis and then send the CEO my 2-week notice. 2 weeks go by. It's the last hour of my last day. So what do? Change all those usernames and passwords again and send them to Luis, who is also celebrating her last day. I log out of my email, put my company phone and laptop in the mail, and spend the evening cackling at my malicious compliance. The very next day, on Saturday, the CEO calls me repeatedly. Finally, she leaves me a long and howling voicemail to say what I did was unprofessional and she would make sure my reputation suffered and I would never work in that industry again. I wait until Monday to call her back. "Hey CEO, I saw you called. I need the usernames and passwords to everything." "I'm sorry, but I don't work there anymore. You'll have to contact your IT person to help you with that." "You are the IT person." "No, I was the IT person. Now I'm a private consultant and I would be happy to provide my services at a rate of $100 an hour." "You changed all the usernames and passwords and didn't provide them to me." "Correct. Per company policy, when an employee leaves the organization, the IT person is supposed to update everything and send the new info to the COO. I was leaving, so I updated everything. I provided all the usernames and passwords to Louise." "You knew she was quitting too. Why would you give them to her?" "Because the company policy says to transfer the new username and passwords to the COO, not the CEO. Louise was the COO when I left." Caught in her own bureaucracy, she then had to spend weeks trying to gain access to all of the company accounts. On Louise and my last day, Tina and another employee quit. Another person announced her retirement. Once the 5 of us were gone, we were followed by several other employees. In total, 11 people on the 14-person staff quit within a few weeks. The best part? I got a new job making the same amount I did at the crappy nonprofit, but part-time in a government position and with full-time benefits. So much for my reputation suffering. I stayed in touch with one of the employees who stayed behind. She's only 3 years away from retirement and is basically Stan from the office. She said they've hired at least a dozen people, all of them quit as soon as they could find another job. Anyway, I'm bored in the hospital and started going through old texts, stumbled on our old group chat and had a good chuckle. Thought you all might find it humorous too. Names obviously changed. Support our channel by joining as a member today and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.